anyone is unhappy in their job and they don't know what to do about this unhappiness, and they know it's not like, they know they can't keep going doing what they're doing, that they should take that leap and just, they're going to figure it out, and there's always something out there for them.
Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other, because life with your dog just got even more awesome. Welcome to episode 2 of Life Unleashed.
Good morning, y'all. Today we are going to be talking all about what happens when you set out and have this dream and it becomes your reality and it no longer is that dream you thought it was.
This is a really interesting topic. I feel like I've lived this.
You and Ensley have both had crazy journeys to get to where you are today, and I think that this is something that a lot of people can resonate with, because we all have this dream, and sometimes it's what you hope it to be, but a lot of times it's not. So
that is very true.
Let's hear, what was your dream and what got you to where you are today?
Okay, so I went to college and I was planning to become a doctor. And
because
my dad is a doctor, my grandfather was a doctor. I was like gonna follow the whole doctor footsteps, and I was like so gung-ho about that happening. Show up, I'm a biology pre-med major as a freshman, and it was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
And you weren't even in the job yet. This was just
This is literally just the classwork school, and it was like the first, I guess, rude awakening of like, this is what I think my adult life is going to end up being like, and very quickly I was like, I don't think that's the life that I want. So I did a lot of soul searching and totally changed from like the science department to business. I decided, I was like, you know what? I want to study finance. I read like some economics books in high school, and that's why my dad was like, maybe you'll like business and finance. So I go down the finance route, and I'm like, okay, what about finance do I like? I've always enjoyed math. So I was like, maybe I'd like to be a financial analyst. And so that's what I set my sights on. I ended up getting an internship my sophomore year, went and did that, and it was okay, but you know, you're a sophomore, so it's not like a really cool internship or anything like that. But junior year, I got the internship that I wanted. It was a financial analyst position. I thought it was going to be like leading me to like the investment banking route, and I was stuck behind a computer for like 12 hours a day doing Excel work, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
And at that point, you probably felt somewhat like this is a stepping stone to still get to that dream life of being...
Yes, I did, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to do a little bit of a tweak. Maybe I don't want to be like a financial analyst. I was like, I am an extrovert kind of, so I was like, maybe I need to do more stuff with people. So I did. I didn't have to change like the degree or anything, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go after a financial analyst role. I'm going to be like, go after a financial advising, like more client facing, if you will, role. So that's what I came out with. The job that I got right out of school was like working more like as a financial advisor. And it was like the other side of it. I was literally having to do sales 24/7, talk to people all the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought this would be either.
So did you know that right away, or how long did it take for you to realize that?
It's kind of hard, because I think I was so excited about like to be out of college, having a real job, making money. And like you have a lot of training like in the beginning. So I don't know, the first 3 months was like, this isn't exactly what I thought it would be, but this isn't really going to be what the job is. But as I got along, like 6 months into the job, I was like, uh-oh, I'm not happy. And Danielle, you can probably remember this. Danielle was still in school.
I was in school. We were dating, and I constantly had to hear my boyfriend talking about how he wasn't happy. Yeah, it was just, he was always miserable. So I was honestly probably your first push in the direction of taking the leap of doing something else.
Yeah, Danielle just was like, you just need to go, figure out something, like you're so unhappy. But
I just felt so bad that he was so miserable in this life, and I'm like, you don't have to live this life this way, so let's find a different avenue. So I was really kind of like your first like lever in that support system of like, sometimes that's what it takes to, you just need good people to push you in the right direction.
You need that voice, and you definitely were. But I was really falling, if you guys know about like the sunk cost fallacy, which is basically I spent all this time, effort, energy, and money to become, good and smart at finance. It's not easy to get jobs. You have to do all these interviews. So I put all this time into it, and I just didn't want to be like, okay, 6 months in, I'm just going to give up. I'm a very stubborn person. And like, I like to think that I work really hard. I was like, I got to give this more time.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can feel that way because college is so expensive.
Yeah, college is so expensive, and there's just so much that goes into like getting that first job. And I took it really seriously, did a lot of interviews, and I picked a company like in Atlanta where I just thought it was going to be perfect.
So what was that moment where you actually decided, I'm going to make a change in my life?
Honestly, I told you I was miserable 6 months in. I didn't quit until I believe almost exactly 18 months in.
Wow.
So I went another full year of just being miserable. And I was good at the job, but like the work itself and the day to day, I just absolutely hated it. And like during that time, like I just was getting like depressed. I was not happy. It was not the life that I thought I wanted, but I didn't know like how to get out of it. And it sounds so silly in my position now looking back, but like I just really didn't want to like face the music, have to have that conversation with my boss, and then also figure out like what else I was going to do with my life. This is what for the last 3 years in college plus that time. 4 years I had been working towards this goal, and I thought this is what it was supposed to be like, and it wasn't.
So do you still, like now looking back so much longer after the fact, do you feel like that was a sunk cost, or do you feel like it was actually worth it to get to, like, did you have to do those things to get to where you are? Do you think that maybe it was a little bit of a waste?
I don't think that I would change anything, but I kind of wish that I would have maybe bit the bullet and done it a little earlier. However, that being said, if I wouldn't have let myself get so miserable, I don't know that I would have maybe I would have made a small move and maybe to like a different financial company or something like that. But I don't know that I would have bit the bullet and actually gone full blown. I got to do something radical, something like my own thing, start my own business. I don't know that I would have known that I should be an entrepreneur if I wouldn't have gone through all of that stuff.
So what was that like light switch moment for you of quitting your job and actually doing it?
Well, I'll say this. Having that conversation with my boss was the hardest, most difficult thing that I've had to do, mainly because I was like scared that really what other people were going to think. I was scared what my friends were going to think. I was scared about what my family was going to think. And it just felt like a huge step back to be like, I was making good money. I had like a quote unquote, like to the rest of the world, good job. And I just thought that when I quit, people are going to be like, you're quitting to go like make dog bandanas? Or, I didn't know exactly that it was going to be that, but I didn't have another plan.
So when that became your reality, was that actually what happened? Did those people make you feel that way, or was it something that was in your head?
The thing is, in reality, no, I don't think any of those people were even thinking about me, but I didn't know that until now. And so in the moment you feel like all these people are going to care and this is what they're going to think and they're going to talk about you and all this type of stuff. People have their own problems and they're not thinking about you that much. But
true.
In the moment, that's what I felt like.
So to the point of my original question, what advice do you have if someone thinks that the dream they set out isn't the dream?
Okay, I think for me to get to where I was, I needed to try those things. So I think you just got to try a lot of stuff. And so be willing to put yourself out of your comfort zone, go try something that you're not sure of. You really can't know until you're doing it. That's the number one thing. You have to do it to know. You can talk to people and they'll help you make those decisions. But until you're actually doing it, you don't know. Go try it. But once you figure out this is not for you, work hard at it. Don't just get into it and be like, oh, I'm not being successful. Well, if you're not working hard, you don't know. So try it, work hard. But if it's not for you, don't be afraid to change direction and do it quickly, fast, and get on to the next thing. And eventually you will probably you'll learn something in that process, hopefully, and that will help steer you in a closer direction. And then maybe the next thing's not it, but then, it'll steer you a little bit closer. And eventually I think you will land on something that you like. And at the end of the day, no matter what job you end up picking, whether it's working for yourself or somebody else, there are things that you're not going to like about it. So that's just life. It is what it is. And sometimes that period is you're having to do a lot of stuff for a year before you get to doing the things that you are going to like, but you're willing to pay the price for that. So I think you just got to try a lot of things to figure out what you like.
That is some great advice. So thank you for that. I think Ensley also had a life-changing experience. So we're going to bring her in and hear her journey to get here. Welcome to Life Unleashed,
Oh my gosh, we're rolling.
Ensley's debut on the podcast.
Hello.
Is
Thanks for having me.
I
Journey from my desk all the
am
way over here.
So excited to have you here, and I bet that this feels somewhat similar to where you came from.
I'm kind of having a blast from the past right now, especially because I'm holding a microphone.
Yes.
And that's really where the story begins, honestly.
So, yeah, tell us about where you came from, what was your dream, and how you got here today.
So basically my entire life from childhood, I knew that I wanted to do news. At first I was like, I want to be a journalist, want to write stories, maybe work for a magazine. That quickly turned into TV because I like to entertain. I've always loved being in front of the camera. And I've never had a problem talking in front of a large group of people. So I quickly became very interested in that. And basically my entire college career my focus was to become a news reporter. And so I went into the University of Alabama, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yes. But went into school freshman year knowing I'm doing journalism, went into the College of Journalism, did that all 4 years, did internships at news stations, was in love with it. The goal was the Today Show. You know, you reach for the biggest star, and that was that. And so that was always my fascination and the biggest goal that I had. And that's what I did all throughout college. And I didn't think of doing anything else. Everything else was out of the question for me.
That was like your dream and you were chasing it, and
100%.
really all your stars aligned because you graduate college and you get that dream job.
Oh, yeah. So before I even graduated, I had a job in news. I actually went to a news station close to here in Macon, Georgia. Worked there for 2 years.
And I bet that was like the dream at that time because news seems competitive. Like it's
Yes.
only one or two people can be on the camera at the same time. So
Yeah, it was definitely a dream come true.
Yeah.
I remember my parents were thrilled. They were thrilled that I even wanted to do this job in the first place. My dad was super excited for me to go into journalism, saw big things for me. I worked really hard to get that job. I worked all of senior year, basically. I gave up a lot of social outings to go do that. I worked for free, basically, too, in an internship that wasn't paying me. So when I did get that job, it was a dream come true. I had reached my goals, and now I was climbing towards that Today Show moment.
So you said that you did that job for 2 years?
2 very long years.
And at what point in that time did it not become the dream anymore?
So obviously, to a lot of people, and even maybe when they're first hearing me say that I was a news reporter, maybe their first thought is, wow, that's such a glamorous job, and that's so cool that you were on TV, you were on television. But it's not as glamorous as it may seem. And so honestly, within 6 months of working that job, I really saw the reality of things. The way that you're treated in that industry just isn't great. A lot of your safety's in question a lot of the time. You're out there in the field by yourself in dangerous situations, reporting on very serious crimes, and you're the only person standing there. There's no one behind the cameraman. You know, there's not a cameraman.
That's crazy.
That's what's crazy.
I think everyone expects that there's a cameraman, but
Right.
you are your own cameraman.
Right. So going into that career, I was actually a one-man band, and that was the way the industry was saving money. They realized that they could pay college kids like us coming in, itching for that dream, a lot less money, and we could do everything, and that we were tech savvy and that we could figure it out. And so we had a lot of different roles, and so a lot of pressure was put on us. So basically, I'm this one person doing 5 different jobs, and it was very stressful. I was in a lot of dangerous situations, and it really changed for me my health. That's when I was like, I don't recognize myself anymore. My health had gone down a lot, and my mental health had gone down a lot. So it was physical and mental health just declining. And I really looked in the mirror and I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore.
So what was that conversation like with your parents, or were you with your boyfriend at that time? Who did you speak to, and what was that like?
Yeah, I would say my now husband, Paul, and boyfriend at the time, he always heard a mouth and earful about what was going on. The stress of it. My mom, too. I would call her all the time and tell her my worries, my concerns, the stress of just the job in general. And I think my parents took it a lot harder because they just had it in their head that I was going to be this famous news reporter.
Yeah.
So my mom always pushed me, and she was, you know, always telling me, just keep going, just keep doing it. Paul was always very concerned about me.
Yeah.
And so it was two different aspects and different points of view that I was getting. But at the end of the day, I mean, I had lost 20 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
I wasn't eating normal meals, which is weird. Hence why I lost 20 pounds. The stress levels, I mean, I think that it really took a toll on me. And so I think when Paul saw that, he was like, you need to get out of this. Like, you're not in it. Your heart's not in it. You're not yourself. And it took a toll on my relationships as well. Like, I distanced from my family a lot, didn't have a lot of time with them. And Paul and I's relationship was struggling too. So I feel like once I realized that was when I realized I can't do this anymore.
So did you have a moment of having to decide, like, what are you going to do? And how did you actually quit that job? Because I feel like that would be a really hard moment.
Yeah, it was. But once I decided and I stood firm in it, and even to my parents, I was just, I'm just doing this. Like, this is my decision. This
You
is
made
my
up
life.
your mind.
I'm doing this. This is what's best for me. I just felt like this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. This isn't what life is supposed to be like. And I had a 2-year contract with that news station. And so I'm by no means a quitter. And so I said to myself, just make it to the 2-year mark and get to that point, and then you'll figure the rest out. And so when it was nearing that 2-year mark, I had a meeting with my managers, and they asked me if I wanted to resign, offered me a little bit of a pay raise, and I just politely declined and said, you know, this isn't for me, and I appreciate it, but I'm going to part ways.
And how does it feel now that you've overcome that and you had this dream for so long, and now it wasn't the dream anymore, and now you've, like, where you are today? How does it feel knowing you've went through all that? Are you happy you went to school for news? Do you feel like that was just something you had to do to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I feel like it was a part of my journey, definitely. I think that all life experiences teach you something.
Yes.
And so I don't see myself being who I was unless I went through all of that. And I don't regret, because I did learn a lot within journalism and stuff that I still use today in my job. I love storytelling still, which is what journalism is. And a lot of the emails that our customers read every day is me trying to tell stories, or us getting on camera and doing videos or anything like that. It's the same thing. It's just done in a different, honestly, more fun way.
Yeah, it's crazy that you actually use a lot of the skills that you learned here in a dog bandana world, you know?
Right. Yes. I think you carry your skills with you no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that everybody has something to bring to the table, and that you don't necessarily need a specific job title or a degree to define what you do in life. Basically, I was talking earlier about how my dad specifically, I feel like, envisioned me doing this glamorous TV job, and he had it stuck in his head. And I know that you had a similar experience with your mom, just thinking a job was cool and wanting you to do it because it sounded cool.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to even what Nick was saying about the cost that we put into college. You know, it's like nearly $100,000, I think. So, like, you know, you work hard and you go to school and you get this degree, and I think that your parents have these high hopes for you. So it actually starts with my brother, who was an engineer, and he got a job going into his senior year. So I had these high expectations put on me. No one ever talked about it. It was unspoken expectations, but I gave them to myself of, I need to have this job when I go into my senior year. And I did get that, and that was super exciting for me, because I was like, look, Mom, just because I'm not an engineer, I can do it too. And it was a job from Amazon. It was high paying. You got stake in the business, you know, all these glamorous things that you were mentioning. And of course, my mom's like, you have to take it. Like, this is so cool. And she's walking around telling all of her friends, my daughter got a job with Amazon. She's going to do this and this. And I had to break the news to her and tell her, like, I can't take this job. But I did accept the job, which is the hard thing to comprehend here. I did accept the job. I thought I was going to do it. And then when the time came, I was like, I cannot do this, because it was all about, like, self-fulfillment, you know? It was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, and I don't think your mom intentionally did that, and neither did my dad, but I think that we as human beings get caught up on status, and that plays a huge role in what your occupation is. But I always say this to Paul, and it's like my life motto, but I say, I want to work to live, not live to work.
That's so
That's
true.
like my big motto in life. And whenever he's complaining about, oh, I'm so stressed at work, I'm so stressed, I'm like, your job is not your life.
Yeah.
Your job is supporting your life. That is the whole point behind it.
That is a great way to look at it. I feel like the moment that I knew I had to actually decline the job was I was doing all this research on people who already had done it, and it was terrible. It seemed like terrible working conditions, no work-life balance. You're working all these hours. So, yeah, you're getting paid a lot, but you can't do anything else with your life. So what are you going to spend the money on when you can't go do anything? And It was going to move me all over the country, and I didn't want that life. So I had to make a decision, and my mom was very upset about it. And then to find out that I'm going to go make dog bandanas.
Yeah, I'm sure that was very... I mean, my parents were even like, what are you doing? I mean, when I came into this job, found you guys on Instagram, I had been searching for a year during the time of COVID for a job, just to get a job. Like at that point I was like, I need some income. I used my savings that I prepared to leave, knowing that I might be in between jobs for a while. And I was like, I need a job. I just need something. And this sounded fun and something I'd be interested in. I had just gotten a dog. I loved my dog. I loved shopping for my dog. And so I said, oh, this is something I'm interested in. So why not go and work somewhere that does that? And I quickly saw the vision of this company. And that's why I said, I think I can use my skills to progress at this company.
And you really
and here I am 3 years later.
You've brought us so far. You've brought in new ideas, and you've used your skills in ways that we never could. I mean, I am not good with words at all. So coming up with emails and all of that would not be possible without you. So you are a key player in Tails Up Pup.
Yes, thank you. But I if you had asked me if I was going to be in retail or anything e-commerce or anything like that years ago, I would have said I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Why would I? Now it's like all I think about and all I talk about, like and I'm like, oh, Paul, this business could be doing this, but they're not thinking this way. And he's like, oh, I have this idea and this. He's like, you're just such a business woman now. And I'm like, yeah, I never thought I would think this way.
Yeah, and I think that is a hard thing. Like you have this dream, it doesn't fulfill, but you're afraid of change, and you never would have thought that you would have this new mindset, but you were only able to get there by making changes in your life.
I think my initial dream led me to a new dream.
Wow. Yeah. Tails Up Pup, dream.
We're getting very tender right now.
This is magical.
Feeling the magic in the air.
So, do you have any final thoughts?
I would just say that if anyone is unhappy in their job and they don't know what to do about this unhappiness, and they know it's not, like they know they can't keep going doing what they're doing, that they should take that leap and just they're going to figure it out, and there's always something out there for them, and that, like I said before, your life is not your job, and
your life
you need to find something that gives you that life that you want without the stress.
How did you enjoy your first debut on the podcast?
I think it's great. I mean, like I said before, guys, I really just was born
you
for
are.
the camera.
You're so natural. You're like,
I just love this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just love talking to people and a community.
Yeah,
and
you're really good at
reaching other people and lives.
Well, thank you for joining me and sharing your experience. And I think that it should help at least one person,
I hope so.
Like if anything, one person will make that leap because
I hope so.
You shared your story.
Let us know.
Yes.
Email me at, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode of Life Unleashed.
Can't wait.